Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for joining me here today as we get to talk about one of my favorite subjects, comic books. My name is Jose. I love comic books. I love talking about them, and I love sharing them with you. Feel free to follow me on social media if you would like. Links are in the description below. I've also posted a link to the Marvel fan site that I have plot synopsis and character bios for this issue. We are finally into Inferno after teasing it for many months. And we are looking today at the Uncanny X-Men 240 from 1988. Everything is finally coming to head. Now, I have to admit something. Even now, as an adult, and especially back then, when I was going between eighth grade to ninth grade, so I was in that uh, era, this was very confusing to me. I sort of feel, even though Chris Claremont sort of is known for his long plot threads and all that kind of stuff, that he didn't figure out what to do with Madelyn Pryor until too late. I think they had this event and he pivoted and he sort of forced the issue. And she went from a normal, you know, person to the Goblin Queen in almost the blink of an eye. And I understand why they did what they did. He came up with a really cool idea. However, it does seem I almost like Inferno should have been another year away and deal, with the repercussions for another year before we start throwing this out there. Also, why, the stuff with Naster, to me, and again, I wasn't reading other issues, but it just, these two, just, I don't know, the relationship wasn't, didn't evolve, I don't know. It is really weird how, even though Chris Claremont has so many pages and throws so much stuff at you, that he couldn't figure out how to make this so that even me as an adult wouldn't seem so forced. I guess that's the word. But this is where we're headed. This is where we finally get Madelyn Pryor turning into the Goblin Queen. Everything sort of going to head. X-Men, X Factor. The New Mutants I am currently not covering. I don't know if I will or not. They do have Inferno in there, but it really deals more with the limbo thing, and it really doesn't affect these titles at all. So we see Mr. Sinister, we see the Marauders, Arclight got a haircut, so we've got here Polaris, who is possessed by Malice with this gigantic hair. So, okay, Polaris, aka Malice, Arclight, Vertigo, Scalp Hunter, Harpoon, of course, everybody loves a Sabretooth, and then Scrambler, who dresses like a yuppie. Dan Green and Marc Silvestri do this cover. Dan Green, I don't know why he went from a very, by the way, rest in peace, Dan Green, from a very clean inker to a very messy inker. He does seem to fit with what Silvestri seemed to be penciling at that time. However, when you know what Marc Silvestri evolves to, it doesn't seem like a very good fit because Marc Silvestri has such a fine line now. I have covered Marc Silvestri's era in Cyberforce. It was rather quickly. I didn't go through each issue the way I do with these things, kind of like a big thing. And his art was evolved very, very cleanly. So seeing Dan Green just these things doesn't seem to fit. And we've seen Marc Silvestri do a very clean line before. So, all right, here we go. This is the official start of Inferno, and the title, Strike the Match. And we are in the Rainbow Room in New York City, and we've got Havoc and Madelyn Pryor dancing. I love the black. I love like that there is no line separating it, yet your eye sort of does it itself. And so it says here that the room on top of the Rockefeller Center is booked months in advance, but it's empty tonight, of course, with all the stuff going on in Inferno. And so we have our credits. Chris Claremont is our writer. Marc Silvestri pencils. Dan Green inks. Tom Orzechowski, one of the greatest letterers of all time, top 3, with John Workman Jr. and Kevin Kline. Not Kevin Kline. That's the actor. Oh, my gosh. Last name Kline, though. And Bob Harris and Tom DeFalco continue the editorial. All right. So these two have fallen in love and are really into it with each other. She grabs some champagne and he takes the glass and they're like, it's stuffy inside. Let's go get some air. And she's like, stuffy, it's deserted. And it's really hot out there. He says, hot as sin. And she says, interesting choice of metaphor. And so he's saying, oh, you're a strifeful wicked. And she's like, you notice, to kindred spirits and lost souls. Now, remember in the previous issue, the two finally got it on and slept with each other. And so, excuse me. So, blossoming love. But it's not going to be meant to be, as we know. These guys make a ruckus here. And they're kind of like Ghostbusters. And they're like, all these things. The Empire State Building is growing, they say. And so they're going to argue all these things. And there's like buildings can't grow. And he's like, Havoc comes in to try to resolve things. And he goes, anything we can help. And of course, they're like, we're scientists and you're not. We're in a delicate research. We don't have time for people like you. And so this guy, the waiter or maitre d' or whatever they're called, he asks them to leave. And they're like, my equipment. They're like, go. And so he apologizes for them. They get into the elevator, they're arguing, and when they come in, of course, it turns into these demons things. Madelyn Pryor, of course, as she looks around. I love the screen tones being applied here, and you can see it's got me. The doors, for pity's sake, somebody help me. Get out. Don't let them close. And of course, this is kind of where I went, what the heck? And I know that it's been hinted, but it really started in Genosha for no apparent reason. And so she obviously has a connection to it. Now, we understand what she is now. But I love this part where she's taking a picture, and here she's turned into the Goblin Queen. Alex says, what are you looking at? And she says, the Empire State Building. And he says, see anything interested? And so again, she's dressed as the Goblin Queen, but when she turns around, she's back to normal. And she's like, only you. And so they go into the elevator and finds the glasses of one of the people. And there they are, of course, in those the elevator. So so the two are gonna make out and probably have themselves a good night. So they come through. Gateway has transported them back from New York. He's a teleporter, and so she Alec thinks that maybe they should spend some more time together, but she says, I need some time and space to myself. and of course, he feels bad like he did something. And so Maddie gets transported and she's gone. And she asks Gateway where she went, but of course, Gateway never speaks. So he is going to go down there. Um, and he wonders about Gateway, whether he could be trusted, and of course he's going, man, Maddie and I were having such a good time, and then he realizes what's wrong, and so he thinks he can help as he rolls down. And so we're in Bard College, which I believe is where Chris Claremont actually went, and of course we have this cemetery there, and we've got image of Cyclops, Scott Summers, her husband, how she loves her, and all these things. And of course, she lies and reminiscing of the wedding. And liar, she calls him. And this is where Jean Grey is buried, and she's pissed at her, and you can see her powers came out of nowhere as well. This just again, now as an adult, sort of, but as a kid, I was like, what the hell? When did this come? This just came out of nowhere. I have a playlist. I have an X Universe playlist where I cover everything in reading order. I have an X-Men playlist by itself. You can check out everything from Giant Size X-Men #1 to current. I covered that as Classic X-Men #1, and off we went. I have X Factor. This again just came sort of out of nowhere. And so Jean Grey parents are coming through, and they're like, she looks like Jean, he says, which is Marvel Girl, and this is her father and mother. And they're like, why are you smashing that headstone? But they don't get to finish it, as she says, curse you both, I'm not your precious daughter. And just, oh my God, she just turns to evil. And again, just seemingly out of nowhere. And he's like, it's a foretaste of what I mean to do to her. And so here come Naster, and he's like, bold words, Goblin Queen, and she says, with the powers to match, and I will use it. Poor Naster, did you believe me some toy fit only for your pleasure? Don't bother denying it, Demon Lord. Your thoughts are pitifully transparent. And he's like, who are you? And she says, my own woman. Also your employer. You have news for me. And so he says, by the appointed time at the appointed place, all will be as you commanded. And so she says, it had better be, or you'll answer to my pets, which are these goblins here that she created. I believe these are from the Greys, so she had encased them in a cocoons, and so these are them now. And so she goes, isn't it nice to see Professor and Mrs. Grey reduced to their demonic essence? Won't their baby girl be so pleased? Speaking of babies, Naster, I want mine. And Naster says, my word is my bond, my lady. A most promising lead has been unearthed. If your darkly majesty will but accompany me. Now, I have already covered the Exterminators, all 4 issues at once. That is in the X Universe playlist. Feel free to check that out. You can see how this all ties together. Also, X Factor number 35. So, all right. Back in Australia, here is Dazzler and Longshot. And suddenly here this is Rogue. Sorry. So these two are kind of getting it on. Dazzler shoots with the thing, and there she is, a Rogue. And look at Longshot. And she goes, you mind telling me, Rogue, what you're doing wearing my clothes and making time with my boyfriend? And uh, Rogue is like, I thought he was a person able to make his own choice to hang out with, not private property. And Longshot's like, private property? Does that make me like a slave? And so these two are gonna have it out again. So I'll just kind of keep moving here. Rogue, or I'm sorry, Longshot's like, please, you don't have to be angry. You're gonna hurt her. And she's like, that's the idea. And so calls her a tramp. That's funny. Here, they continue fighting. Here, Colossus is drawing. Now, Colossus, after oh my goodness gracious, the mutant massacre, his natural state is armored. Um Psylocke is posing for him, and soon of course is gonna be Rogue. And look at poor Colossus here. And Longshot is mad about at Dazzler, and he's like, "We're Rogue and I are friends, same as you and I were. You had no right to claim me as exclusively your own." And she's like, "Oh crap! Don't worry, they end up together." So now we have Havoc using Madelyn's system, and he's very impressed by it here. And so he is looking for Madelyn and thinks he found her again in New York. And he all of a sudden he gets a smell, so it's probably Wolverine's cigar. And here are Storm and Wolverine, of course. And so he was not looking for Maddie. He is looking for the Marauders, who he thinks is what Maddie was looking for. And so he has discovered them. And they are now in the alley where the Morlocks used to be. And so, of course, Wolverine and Storm get the same idea. And so here we go with the demons. And this ties into X Factor 35 here. And there now there is a cocoon, and so now we are going to see that she discovers that she is a clone of Jean Grey. And this was the big reveal, that she actually was created by Mr. Sinister. So here we are at the Morlocks, who are getting everything, and he, Scalp Hunter, pretty impressive. Seen better, says Sabretooth. And so, all right, we really just, and this is Prism here. He wasn't on the cover, and he won't be long for this. I wonder if he was Riptide's replacement. So they're setting up camp here, and here comes Blockbuster, and he crashes into someone, and I love this one, Wolverine. You want to need a light bulb, and Colossus, you're a marauder. And he's like, what's your name? Blockbuster. I am Colossus. Bam! And they're like, what was that? And suddenly here comes Blockbuster, who was one of the ones, him and Harpoon, that hurt Angel in X Factor. And so here comes Sabretooth, who says, I don't need the light, and of course she uses her power and creates light, which of course it's too bright. He goes down, shoots Scalp Hunter, Havoc, and shoots Prism here. And they, I know they end up destroying him. I don't know if they destroy him now, but Havoc is like, oh boy, this is like a more lethal team. Oh, and so here's Riptide. So he didn't die, and he even says here. So Longshot goes through, grabs all his knives, and he then throws it at them. So, all right, they're like, oh my God, the X-Men are out for blood. So, here Blockbuster lands here. He's like, all right, I'm gonna get him, but these demons grab him again. Inferno is opening the gates. This has been set up previously. Arclight is going to bring down the tunnel, thinks he killed Psylocke here, and she's like, I'm gonna get you, and then Psylocke uses her powers to grab her brain. And so here comes Scrambler, who touches someone here, and he goes down. Only it was Arclight, because Psylocke had used her powers. Here's Polaris using her magnetic power. She's got the same powers as Magneto. I say Magneto, not Magneto. Throwing him to Wolverine. Although she should have also thrown Wolverine. So here we go. And they're like, you got to take her down. This is his former lover. So he's like, if I fire, I'll kill her. And of course, she knows that. And so he throws Colossus. And up he goes. The Marauders follow. And they go and they're like, what the heck happened to the city? And so the Goblin Queen goes, I warned you, Nestor. And she's like, my lady wounds her faithful. And she's like, shut up, the truth for once, or the next wounds will be real. And I'll cast what I leave of your pathetic carcass to my pets for dinners. Why did you bring me here, Nestor? What is this place? And so everybody's looking, of course, at Mr. Sinister here. And Nestor says, perhaps, Dark Majesty, you pose those questions not to me, but to the more than human being responsible for its creation. I'll wager that he knows far better than I. And she says, you have a name, chum. And of course he says, most refer me as Mr. Sinister, but you, Madelyn, my first and foremost joyous, may call me father. So this will, of course, continue. This is a great issue, a good start for Inferno. And so it's going to be pretty cool. It's going to be a pretty cool storyline that's going to resolve a lot of these plot points. So, Uncanny X-Men 240 by Chris Claremont and Marc Silvestri with Dan Green. Like and subscribe, and I do thank you so much for listening. Goodbye.